YouTube Baruskis. That was weird. We're live on YouTube. Right? Hey, everybody. I'm Jim. I am one half of Inner Solutions, mental health coach / panic attack and anxiety survivor / is there any other slashes? Do I need any other slashes? No, I think I have enough slashes. Let's see how this looks. This is a little dark. No, we're good. We lit up? I love it. Let me change this entry. So guys, today, welcome. This is our weekly live stream. By our, I mean my. My name is Jim Cipollini. I'm a mental health coach. We run this company called Inner Solutions. If you're here, it means you must have heard of it. If you're new, welcome. What you can do is YouTube or we'll be live on Facebook in a minute. And you can post your questions, your check-ins, your comments on if you're suffering from panic attacks, anxiety, whatever your mental health situation may be. I have anxiety and mental health. Q&A. Today is January 26th. Holy, wow, we're cruising. We are cruising. And guys, just know if you're new to the channel and you haven't yet scheduled, we always offer new viewers and listeners a free 45-minute coaching call, no strings attached. The purpose of that call, and that is a completely confidential, non-judgmental call. The purpose of that call being we want to help you feel better. And we want to help you to take some of the tools that we've spent all our time learning and researching and give them to you. And also, if there's a direction that you can go in to really gain some insight to how to overcome whatever you're struggling from, either overcome or work with it or live more intentionally with it, whatever that may be. And so, are we live? Feels like we're live. Are we not live yet? Hey, there we go. Hey, happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday night. Welcome to the Inner Solutions live stream. My name, of course, is Jim Cipollini, your local mental health coach / panic attack and anxiety survivor / a sister on your journey. A sister? I'm not your sister. A sister, like giving an assist to you on your journey. That's so great. I'm your assister. And you can be my sister and I'll be your brother. So if you're new, in the description on the Facebook page, you can feel free to schedule a free coaching session with one of our coaches, either myself or Ennis. And what we'll do during that call, which typically lasts around 45 minutes, is really listen to you as far as what you're going through and give you some practical steps to start regaining your freedom. Freedom from panic attacks, freedom from anxiety. I don't like the term overcome because what we're actually be doing is learning about what's going on with you and gradually pointing you in the direction of stopping the panic attacks, turning down the dial on your anxiety so you can feel better and you can have your life of freedom back. Most people who struggle with panic attacks or high anxiety, they just want to feel normal. They just want to feel like themselves again. And so we provide kind of the path balancing least amount of resistance, the least amount of stress and effort you'll have to use with balancing that with sustainability, finding a way to sustainably work through whatever you're going through, finding a way to sustainably process your emotions, live a happy and balanced life, but no snake oil, no false hope, no, I don't want to say no shortcuts because these tools are kind of the shortest way from point A to point B that we use, but no gimmicks, no, no false promises. We lay it on the line for people depending on where they're at, and we give as truthful a sense of what's going on and what they're in for as we possibly can. Now, everybody's different, of course. So welcome on this beautiful Tuesday evening. I'm here live from just north of Nashville, Tennessee. We had a beautiful 65-degree sunny day today. I had the deck door open. I was able to get some beautiful airflow, shut the heat off, and just enjoy this beautiful air. So I've done my good health behaviors today. I'm feeling fantastic, and I'm looking forward to getting started. So if you're new, feel free to pop your questions, thoughts, comments, any insight you want to gain or give into the chat here, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. That's how we say it, YouTube. And it's so good. Hey, Cindy, how are you? Good to see you. What's up, Don? Guys, welcome. If anything, would love to just have a check-in, and welcome to our regulars who come back, and welcome to anybody new to the channel. And just check in with us. How's your heart? How you feeling? Hey, Stephanie, how are you? Good to see you. Really glad. Hope everything's going well for you guys. Give us a status update, guys. How's everything with anxiety? What's been the topic of the week for you? Has it been a struggle week? Has it been a positive week? Are you feeling like you're gaining ground? I've had a lot of clients this week with some kind of milestone, some kind of really clear next step that happened, whether it was a client with a first break in heavy anxiety for months who, had these chunks of a couple hours where she felt like her anxiety was below a level 3, which was a really big break for her, or whether it was, some kind of breakthrough, some kind of realization. I had a therapy session today with my therapist, which was not a breakthrough. And that was totally fine. We kind of talked about what was going on. I was a little all over the place, a little scattered. And that was what I needed to be today. And not every session is going to be, an awakening. Not every session is going to be this amazing realization. But and that's just kind of how working through anxiety is. Some days feel more like you're kind of drudging through the drudgery and just enduring. Whereas other days you feel like you've got a grasp, you're starting to gain more control, more freedom. And a key element to working through it is just that resilience. Just that simple resilience, stick with it, work through it, stay the course. Like I said before, most people suffering from anxiety just want to feel normal again, or they want to go back to the way things were before they struggled with panic attacks. And that tethering to the things way used to be is part of the resistance that continues to exacerbate and intensify the panic attacks. So what we're looking for is a balance of openness mixed with curiosity, mixed with self-compassion, mixed with what's the word? Persistence. That's the word. Persistence. So, hey, Cindy. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Stephanie. How are you? Cindy says, I'm doing okay. Hope you're good. Had therapy today, too. A lot of crying emotions. Yeah, Cindy, would you be willing to share more about a lot of crying emotions? I know, and I've said this on this show before, when I'm bound up emotionally is when I'm the most worried that I'll suffer from some depersonalization or some derealization. It actually happened to me last month when I was going through an intense situation. And so I know that when I start to get really anxious and really like I'm starting to lose a little bit of functionality, like my space is becoming occupied by ruminating thoughts. There's these anxious parts of me that are really, really active and scared. I know that I want to invite the fear to be released. And a lot of what the fear is the need to feel like things are in control. And part of what anxiety can be is this grieving that there isn't this 100% safe zone in the world. This grieving of wanting to latch on to a safety attachment figure, this grieving of wanting to always be with somebody, and that you can't have that, whether that's in a codependent way or whether that's in a kind of non-realistic way. And so I know I want to cultivate and invite forward that part of me that's just really sad about that, and release that emotion. And instantly I'm, boom, zapped back in my body, zapped back to the present moment after a good cry, after a good release, after a good bout of anger and frustration. And the more you do that, the more you process that emotion, which is essential in any balanced mental health state. And to maintain that state, the quicker you learn how to do that, and the quicker you honor how you feel, the quicker that you get back to feeling the balance, the quicker that you get back to feeling like yourself, and the quicker you get back to being out of the depersonalization, derealization, or dissociation. So Cindy, I would love to hear more about the crying emotions that you felt today. I did not feel crying emotions today, but I'd love to hear more. Stephanie says, well, since I have been able to allow the panic in and not be afraid of it, I haven't had any panic attacks. Wow, that's absolutely incredible. I'm working on intrusive thoughts and learning how to separate myself from them. They are not me. Sometimes are easier than others to do that. Yes, so Stephanie, when it comes to intrusive thoughts, a lot of times those are tethered or linked to some kind of emotion. And if they're linked to a negative emotion, particularly like a deep fear, it's important to kind of go the same route to release that resistance and actually welcome them in. And when you're trying to separate yourself from them, you have to know, am I trying to separate myself from them because I want them gone? And what I'm really doing in disguise is trying to shove them down or get away from them? Or am I committed to releasing the resistance and going inward to understand where they're coming from? So there's really two types of parts that intrusive thoughts come from. One is a part of you, and the other is kind of what we call a legacy or an absorbed burden. This comes from beliefs that you might get from your parents, your mom, your culture. Different types of absorption, whether it's from a child or some kind of influence. Typically, it's usually a part of you. And it's usually a part of you that's stuck in some kind of past trauma, or it's trying to kind of alert you of something. Or it's a part of you that's been kind of shoved down and ignored for so long that it kind of can't help but put these thoughts in there. But there's almost always a purpose to it. So Stephanie, I would strongly encourage you to do what you did with the panic, which is you invited it in. And I would invite these intrusive thoughts in, and more importantly, invite this part of you that's putting those intrusive thoughts forward to come in and communicate with you, to open up that space for the dialogue. This may not be a quick process. A lot of times these parts that are putting these intrusive thoughts in your head are used to being shoved down or shunned or don't want to be seen. So you may have to work with some repetition in inviting that part forward. But once you connect with it, once you can understand why it's doing what it's doing and why it's carrying this burden or why it's carrying this pain, you can help it release it, or you can help it reprocess whatever it's trying to get your attention from. So Stephanie, I would love to hear more about the intrusive thoughts. What kind of intrusive thoughts are they? Are they about panic? Are they like obsessive? Are they, all kinds of intrusive thoughts come around. I've talked about parts of you that will inject gibberish or random thoughts or 30 seconds of a song or 10 seconds of a song over and over again. And that part forms to protect you from hearing, having really, protecting you from other thoughts, really destructive thoughts or scary thoughts. So Stephanie, would love to hear more about that, but thanks for sharing. Cindy says, yes, I'd love to go back. Cindy, the truth is actually what you'd really love, the part of you that wants to go back really just wants relief, because actually typically what's on the other side of working through something and doing the self-exploration necessary in dealing with panic attacks and anxiety, it causes you to do this beautiful amount of growth. And so you end up on the other side knowing yourself better, more aligned. And even though in the short term you suffered, it's almost like a childbirth where like you're suffering and it's so painful, but then you yield this beautiful child. And in the case of panic attacks, you yield this beautiful new self-awareness and self-connection. So I would challenge you, Cindy, to start to kind of CBT that I want to go back to the way things were, and put a replacement thought in there, which is I'd love to, turn down the dial with how intense my anxiety is and garner some growth and some growth and some self-knowledge out of this process. Which really, I'd love to stop having such intense feedback loops and heavy emotions. Ashley, welcome, Ashley. How are you? I'm trying to push through every day. My vitamin D is low, so doctor's starting me on that. Still dealing with the sleep apnea and machine and just overall fatigue. Yeah, Ashley, can you share a little more? Are you having panic attacks? When you say you're trying to push through, what are you trying to push through? And your vitamin D is low, so it sounds like doctor's helping you. And the sleep apnea is you're having trouble breathing, and you're having trouble sleeping with the machine, or is that anxiety related? Elizabeth says to Stephanie, she's working on the same, on the intrusive thoughts. Elizabeth, Stephanie, I would love to talk more about intrusive thoughts. Love to get more information about your specific situations, if you're willing to share, which I hope you're here, and I hope you are. Ashley says, the derealization and depersonalization is so hard to deal with. Yeah. So Ashley, again, what we're finding, the more I kind of experientially have gone through it and the more I'm dealing with clients, is a lot of the derealization and depersonalization is typically when you feel stuck emotionally. But it's, it's your body's way of coping. And so all the parts of you, like all these coping mechanisms, while they suck, like the depersonalization sucks, the derealization sucks, the intrusive thoughts suck, the part that I was talking about, those blocker parts where it's like 10 seconds of a song. Oh man, I used to wake up to like just 15 seconds of an old girlfriend's, she was like a country pop singer, and just like 10 seconds of the same song, or even like sometimes 5 seconds over, when I would wake up over and over and over again. My anxiety was high. And I was like, I feel like Beethoven, man. I'm about to go crazy. I think Beethoven went a little crazy because anyway. But the point I'm trying to make is all these coping mechanisms, or these automatic things that are happening, are parts of you, your brain, your body, trying to find a way to deal with these situations. And I know they can be so overwhelming. And it causes this want to push away, or to just want it to stop. I just want to control it, when what we need to do is kind of self-regulate our emotions, calm ourselves down, soothe ourselves as much as we can, so we can go in with curiosity to learn. That's why it's so important to have a good coach or a therapist when you're struggling so bad, because they just act, and beyond just a coach or a therapist, a family member, a friend, somebody who's on your behalf with your best interest at the top of their priority list, helping guide you, because in a way, during those heavy episodes, you are intellectually and emotionally compromised. You're doing a lot of emotional reasoning. There isn't a lot of room for you to access kind of your executive function of your brain to just self-soothe, self-regulate, and think, what do I need to do to move forward? It's a lot of, emotions reinforcing the thoughts, reinforcing the emotions. And that's why it's so important to have a coach, therapist, trusted friend, somebody in your corner to guide you exactly what to do, and to trust them. Trust. The cure, my friends, to anxiety is trust. Trust in the universe, trust in God, trust that everything's going to be okay, trust in your therapist, trust in yourself, trust in the advice that you're given. Trust is the cure, 100%. Cindy says, I had a dream last night. My deceased son was in it, and he was doing his bad habits again. Brought it to my place. Wow. Yeah. That's kind of in a way, a trauma flashback. Had that ever happened? Doing his bad habits again and brought it to your place. Had that happened before, Cindy? Dreams are your subconscious kind of, when there's not a busy mind, a intentionally busy mind, a distracted mind, you have your subconscious can kind of just rise and bring these things that are lurking there into your a deeper realm of your awareness, into actually an outer realm of your awareness, and more of an awareness. So that could be a little telling, Cindy, that there's some unprocessed emotion there, unprocessed trauma, emotion, fear. We'll say emotion, unprocessed emotion there. So if it's something that when you think about, you feel an emotion about it, or you feel some kind of regret, fear, remorse, something that's there, that's a good indicator that there's, with some help or with some support, it's a good place to go willingly and gently and gradually to process out that emotion. Dawn says, I had therapy today too. It got cut short because our dog was sick. Oh, well, there's always next week. Feeling kind of stressed, but not too bad. Hey, Dawn, can you describe a little more about what does that mean, feeling a little stressed? What are you stressed about? Are you feeling kind of stressed? If you can identify the stress, that helps a lot. One thing I was talking to my therapist today is just about the generalized anxiety disorder. Just about how when stress goes up and anxiety goes up, it is kind of an across-the-board anxiety that goes up. So you'll notice you maybe use unhealthy coping mechanisms more. Your specific phobias may be rising with that general anxiety. If you catch this in your high state of agitation and anxiety, and you see that it's a general thing, that's a good indicator that instead of trying to just focus specifically on this or specifically on this or specifically on this, whether it's driving, spiders, money anxiety, health anxiety, illness anxiety, whatever, that you need to just generally work to calm yourself down. And that can look like taking a break, resting more, or it can look like getting organized and sorting things out more, turning chaos into order. Cleaning is like a great first way, whether it's doing the dishes or just vacuuming or doing something short, easy, and productive to start to feel like, hey, I can take a chaotic situation and make it orderly, and then you can start to do that internally as well. Amy says, I'm learning how to refocus on the positive and not the negative. Amy, talk a little bit more about that. What does that mean to you? Learning to refocus on the positive and not the negative. So does that mean you're practicing gratitude, you're pointing out more positive things that are going on? Does it mean you have a part of you that's maybe skeptical or catastrophizes and you're trying to kind of offset that? That could be a beautiful exercise to list out the positive things in your life. So good for you. Gouda for you. Guys, we are live on YouTube right now. It's so awesome. And Facebook. Wendy says, hi, Jim. Hey, Wendy. Hope everything's going great. Really good to see your name in the chat. Ashley says, yes, I'm constantly replaying music in my head. Didn't realize it was blocking intrusive thoughts. Well, we don't know that yet, Ashley, but that's a really common part that happens. The music is overwhelming, though, too. How do you find balance? I don't know how things used to be anymore, it seems. Anxiety and panic attacks is like the perfect lesson in kind of releasing control. It's like you're going to just get beat down if you try to control, if you try to shove it out, if you try to overpower it. If you don't kind of work with it and work with the proper tools and you just try to muscle your way through anxiety, it's just going to turn into more and more intensified feedback loop. The music is overwhelming, though, too. How do you find balance? I mean, the first thing is, when we practice parts work, this is what we just taught in group coaching. What I just taught in group coaching last night was we did kind of parts 2 of parts work. The thing you start to realize is you have to meet these parts. It starts kind of just with a general self, but then when you get specific with parts of you, you have to meet them with a mindfulness compassion. It's a curiosity. Now think about what that means. How do I get in a state of curiosity if I'm agitated, if I'm anxious, if I'm overwhelmed with panic attacks? It starts by getting a little bit of groundedness. And that's the first thing that we practice is we practice, number one, identifying, hey, something's happening. Like something's happening within me. I'm not anxiety. I'm not, general anxiety disorder. I feel some anxiety in me. And maybe it's really strong. Maybe it's a 9 out of 10, which is super duper strong. So it's having enough wherewithal to say, I'm feeling something. I'm still here, but I'm feeling something instead of just completely overwhelmed, down on the ground. I'm not saying you fight it. So the first question we ask is, how do I feel towards this anxiety? Now, we did this hilarious exercise in our group coaching where I asked a guy, he's talking about this anxiety. I said, how do you feel towards it? And he goes, I hate it. I want it out of here. I want to, he used quite a few expletives about it. And it was like, well, we can't really come at it in a state of curiosity if there's another part of you that's like, I hate this anxiety. I want it gone. I want it out of here instantly. That part is a very resistant part. And as you guys know, what you resist persists, right? So as you resist the emotion, it's going to make it worse, because now it's like, let's get it out of here. I need to get it out of here. And then when you can't get it out of there because you're just intensifying that feedback loop, it turns into this even bigger struggle, which is, oh my God, this is so strong. I can't get rid of it. It's going to take me over. It's going to kill me. It's going to make me go crazy. It's going to make me lose control. I can't. And it's like, you can't fight the ocean, baby. You can't fight the waves. You got to flow with them. You can find ways to maneuver around them. You can find ways to work with them. And eventually what happens is, as you go with the flow more, as you get curious about the waves, you can work with them much easier. And then the waves start to subside. And then it's like, when you see it, you know what to do. And you can destimulate the nervous system. You can cut off the feedback loop. And we talked about this, if you're doing cognitive behavioral therapy, that's the thought replacement therapy. The ultimate thought replacement when you feel like the start, quote unquote, of a panic attack is, I feel a physical sensation. And there's no story. There's no, I'm having a panic attack. I'm going to die. I'm alone. I can't do this. And that just takes practice. Anybody can do it. So Ashley's question is, the music is overwhelming though. How do you find balance? Yeah, Ashley, you start to run the process. You start to reframe it as like, wow, there's a part in here that's trying to protect me from really painful, intrusive thoughts. And while I'm not in love with its methods, its intention is good. And so what I'm going to do is start by getting curious about it, maybe trying to connect with it. If you go and look at the part and say, this music part, ask yourself, how do I feel towards it? Well, it's annoying. I want it to go. Pivot over to the part of you that's annoyed by it. Ask that to take a step back. Say, hey, totally get I'm frustrated, but if we can have this annoyance just take a step back, that'd be great. If it does, then, and you feel like, I'm curious why it's doing it, I want to connect with it, then you can move in and start to talk and connect with that part of you that's doing the music, and just coach it and say, hey, I'm witnessing you. Like, I see you doing this. Like, I totally hear the music. Do you want to come and show yourself to me in a different way? Do you want to come, I'm here with you. But Ashley, I would recommend, if you haven't already, that you, set up a free call with us in that link below, because we can coach you more through the process. Doing the internal family systems, the parts work process by yourself is very, very tricky. And if you want to get more into it, there's amazing workbooks. We're not associated with them at all. It's one of the tools that we use with clients. That's why we love it. And if you want some help with that, feel free to hop in and schedule a call. Otherwise, shoot us a message here on Facebook, and we can lead you to some great workbooks and stuff that you can start to work with that. Stephanie says, my thoughts are constant evaluations of myself and how I am feeling. I have health anxiety and trauma from being diagnosed with Graves' disease. Graves' disease, just the name Graves' disease sounds really intense. They should think about switching that name. That's just my, PO, personal opinion. Also, I went a few weeks with almost no sleep. Yikes. Ended up in the hospital with panic attacks. Oh, Stephanie, I'm so sorry. Yeah, losing sleep will, just absolutely intensify any feedback loop. So the thoughts are also about sleep. What if you don't sleep tonight? You won't be able to handle tomorrow. I got really bad during this 2 weeks. Complete fight or flight, and I literally was frozen. I moved to eat and go to the bathroom. Okay, I only moved to eat to eat and go to the bathroom. I thought I literally went crazy. So a lot of things around those two things, a lot of thoughts around those two things, excuse me. Most of them trying to check if I'm crazy or judging my sleep and my future sleep. If I have a bad night of sleep, I have a crazy anxious day the next day. Hope this makes sense. Yeah, so actually, Stephanie, this is a theme this week too. I had a nice session with a client on Monday who his sleep was starting to lack. And so he began to get performance anxiety about sleep. Like all he was thinking about is like, well, sleep. I need to get back to sleep. I need to get to sleep. I need to get to sleep. I have to get to sleep. If I don't get to sleep. And there was all kind of stories and meanings that parts of him were putting on it. Like, if I don't get back to sleep, I'm going to have a miserable day. If I can't sleep, then I need to do this. And so even if you visit a sleep coach, what they'll tell you typically is like, you can't force yourself to sleep. Sleep just happens, right? It's almost like you're awake and then you wake up again and you're like, I don't even remember falling asleep. So if you're trying to force sleep and you're starting to have performance anxiety, it's going to be an issue. This happens a lot in a lot of different ways. This happens a lot with men sexually. You start thinking about, am I going to be able to perform tonight? Am I going to be able to do this? And it almost turns into this self-fulfilling prophecy where you psych yourself out. It happens with live performance, giving a speech or a presentation at work, all kinds of performance anxiety. So what we want to do is alleviate the pressure of the event. And we can do this really, really well through cognitive behavioral therapy, thought replacement, which is like, so the initial thought would be, I need to sleep. If I don't fall asleep, I'm going to have an anxious day. If you looked at the list of cognitive distortions, you'd find out that you're future predicting, you're all or nothing thinking, you're overgeneralizing. There's a whole bunch of them, a whole bunch of the list of distortions. So we know that thought is distorted, right? We're not future predictors. We don't have funky hats with fruit on them, and you can't call our 900 number, and we're not named Miss Cleo. So you want to replace that thought with, while I feel some anxiety about falling asleep, the truth is, if my body doesn't go to sleep, it means my body doesn't need sleep right now. And lack of sleep, a short-term lack of sleep is not going to do any permanent damage. And I can't predict the future of how tomorrow is going to go. Furthermore, if I sit and try to force myself to go back to sleep, I won't go back to sleep. And so after kind of that thought replacement, I would pivot into just coming up with a checklist of anything productive or anything that can cultivate some positive emotion if possible. A client of mine did some stock trading when he couldn't sleep and made some extra money. And he said, man, once I did that, I felt really good. And then I just kind of dozed right off. So yeah, find something that you can pivot into doing something, not necessarily productive, but to try to cultivate some positive emotion, or at the very least, something that's distracting and soothing. Thanks for sharing, Stephanie. Ashley says, anxious from not sleeping well due to sleep apnea and using a CPAP machine going on since June. I wake up catching my breath and scared even though machine is working. I'm literally afraid that it won't work one day and just overall sad because I just want to be healthy and be here for my kids. Wearing a mask at work just doesn't help my anxiety as well. Yeah, the mask, a lot of people have the mask anxiety, but a lot of what to do with that is a typical feedback loop. It's feeling like you can't breathe. It's feeling like you're short of breath. And Ashley, it's got to be hard to differentiate what's related to the sleep apnea and then what's related to panic. I knew that when I was in the height of my panic attacks, sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night and just feel like I couldn't breathe. And what that was just a part of my fight or flight going off. So we definitely want to minimize the amount of pressure based on sleep, like we were talking about with Stephanie, Ashley. And then what we really want to do too is, if you're in a CPAP machine and you've been assured by the doctor you're getting the oxygen you need, it's working, that maybe it's a symptom of anxiety. Maybe it's not the fact, maybe it's not a sleep apnea thing, but check with your doctor and say, hey, is this thing calibrated? Is it working perfectly? Scared even though the machine's working. I'm literally afraid that it won't work one day and just overall sad. So Stephanie, I would do some cognitive behavioral therapy and some thought replacement with, I'm literally afraid that it won't work one day. Well, what does that mean if it wouldn't work one day? What's the fear under there? Is it that you're going to run out of air? Is it that you're going to die in your sleep? Is it that, go there and start to replace that, because we can see why that would be distorted. Cindy says about her son, she had a dream about her son. I never knew if he did or not, but it caused my crying emotions at therapy today. So Cindy, it sounds like you are working through and processing your emotion, which is great. Cindy, I would really want to applaud you. You're going to the place that you need to go to reprocess this emotion. And it might be hard and it might be uncomfortable. And just stick with it. Make sure you've got a good therapist who you trust and feel comfortable with. And if you do, just keep going. I'm proud of you, man. Keep going. Replying to Amy. What did Amy say? Oh, I'm learning how to refocus on the positive and not the negative. So you got some people agreeing with you. The more I focus on the positive, the more relaxed I feel. That's awesome, Amy. That's amazing. Cindy agrees with you. So, I mean, that's great. That's like, offsetting that part of you that's really focused on the negative or that is catastrophizing. And so you're able to shift and be like, hey, things aren't so bad. And so it's so funny because if you personify this as parts, as these sub-personalities that we have, it's almost like you've got a negative friend or a negative family member who you're like, hey, look at this is great and this is great. And it's working with them. They're like, yeah, you're right. It is kind of great. If you feel that positive and relaxing emotion, it's almost like you're easing this part of you that's only focuses on the negative or is so worried about danger that it's like any little thing that's negative or wrong. It's like dangerous, 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 dangerous. Oh my God. Oh my God. And it's soothing to that. So that's really cool. Amy, if you really want to get to the root and the source of what's going on, it's like you're practicing this great coping mechanism. But to get to the source, to understand why, there's such an overwhelming part of you that's pointing out the negative. Hopefully it's just something that with what you're doing, it'll subside over time and that you'll strengthen the ability to see the positives and therefore balance it out, which will be great. So great work. It's definitely a process. Yep. Dawn says, today I woke up with anxiety and I don't even know why. It happens a lot. So Dawn, we talked about the subconscious, right? The shadows, all these emotions, all these things, why you have night terrors and weird dreams. It's all stuff that's just stuck in your subconscious. Sometimes it doesn't take Sigmund friggin' Freud to figure it out. Sometimes you got a presentation at work, you have a dream that you go to the presentation and you forget to wear pants and you're embarrassed and it's a horrible dream and it's terrible. And it's like, well, I'm worried about this presentation. That's why I'm having the dream. Sometimes, Dawn, you wake up with anxiety and you don't know why, because there's something in that subconscious outside of the realm of your immediate awareness that's under there lurking in the shadows. It sounds like a monster, right? That's why those monster stories still freak us out. The monster under the bed or the being scared of the dark, because it's the unknown. So, Dawn, what I would recommend is you start opening up that subconscious. And you can do this through great things like journaling, like working with a coach or a therapist, like meditation is a huge one. Mindfulness meditation, we really advocate for mindfulness with a bit of compassion meditation, looking at yourself, your thoughts with curiosity, with non-judgment, and also with compassion, treating yourself and these different kind of sub-personalities or modes you go into as if they're like a trusted, loving friend that you want to help or that you at the very least want to understand first. But Dawn, there's something going on in your subconscious there, 100%. And it could be something like, so a lot of times people wake up with anxiety, just either they don't have a direction that they know what they want to go to, or they were like, the sleep was a break from the stress of life and now they're awake and like, oh God, I got to go through this again and I got to do this. Or maybe you've just got so much floating in your head, Dawn, that it just needs to get out on paper. Does that make sense? Like you've just got lots of stuff floating around. It's all vying for your attention and it's making you anxious. And so all of these different ways that it could go, or whether it's another way, there's something you can do. There's something you can do to definitely set yourself up for a much less anxious and a much more morning. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying with that morning? There's actually there's a classical piece called Morning. And it's the best. Hold on, let's see if we can play it. Morning classical piece. Let's see if we can get this. Nope, we can't. There we go. Hold on. So this is what I want for you, Dawn. This is what I want you to wake up. Ready? And I want you to put out your arms, and I want birds to fly on your arms. I don't even know how they got inside, but I want you to go like this. And then just a bird just here, chirping. And you wake up, and you feel like you've got the day, and you're gonna rock it. Sorry, I got a little carried away. Just trying to be silly. Ashley says, thank you. Literally crying, and I honestly haven't cried in months. Boom! Ashley, I'm telling you, it feels so good to cry. Look, I'm 6'2", tattooed, motorcycle wearing, rock singing, guy, like tough on the outside, marshmallow on the inside, super soft. I'm not a tough guy. I'm sensitive, and I need to release my emotions. I react to things. I'm sensitive to things. I cry during sad parts of movies. I have empathy, and if I don't let the emotion comes in, and if I don't let it go out, I'm going to be a big ball of anxiety. I appreciate you taking time to listen. Thankful for your understanding, of course, Ashley. Thank you so much for being here. And please let us know if there's anything we can do to help you. You can message us here on Facebook anytime. Stephanie Stoltz says, Bethany Rose, get on and watch this. Okay. I gotta get he's live for a little longer. You can ask him whatever you want. You can watch the video later too if you can't join. Okay. Thanks for tagging her. Guys, yeah, that really helps us too. If you guys share the videos, or anybody you think that this would be useful for, if you help refer us to them or anything like that, it helps us so much. Carmen Camino, what's up, Carmen? You have like a superhero name. Carmen Camino. Sounds like this should be a movie or a comic book, or like at least like a cartoon. Carmen Camino. Sounds like the name of like a pop punk album. I suffer from insomnia. Some nights I sleep well, and some nights I don't. The most I could sleep is just 6 hours. I have thyroid issues, my doctor says. My doctor says that my insomnia is not from my thyroid. When I sleep well one night, then the next night is terrible. Then I have trouble falling asleep. Okay, Carmen. Well, we talked a little bit about performance anxiety before. Are you having that? Like, are you laying awake thinking about, I need to sleep, I need to sleep, I need to sleep? The story, I mean, this is no different than dealing with a panic attack. The feedback loop that starts is universal for anxiety, especially like short-term anxiety or panic attacks. You wake up, it's like, oh, I'm awake, oh my God. You may try a couple different things. So you have these protective parts of you saying, like, let's try doing this. Let's try doing this. Let's pray. Let's get up and get some water. Let's have a snack. Let's, listen to some calming music. Let's meditate. All with the intention of I need to get back to sleep. Then if that doesn't work, then the feedback loop really continues. And that, I can't get to sleep cultivates more stress and anxiety. Your body starts releasing adrenaline. Are you going to be able to sleep when your body's firing adrenaline? Heck no. Absolutely not. So we have to watch that performance anxiety. What you want to focus on is soothing, calming yourself, letting go of the pressure of I need to fall back asleep. Sleep happens. It's not something that you force yourself into, and you can do things to try to set yourself up to relax, but you want to alleviate that pressure as much as possible and release the resistance. In the same, when you're having a panic attack, alleviate the pressure of this panic attack has to end now. I need to be in control. I know it's unpleasant, but at the same time, the more you resist, the more it's going to persist. Let's check YouTube. Dulzita says, hello, Inner Solutions. Hello, Dulzita. It's Ennis's mom. Guys, if you want to go say hi to Ennis's mom, go to our YouTube page on the live stream right now, and you can talk to Ennis's mom. I don't know if this helps anyone, but I'm looking at this intense anxiety as an experience that is teaching me how to deal with future issues in life. The skills I'm learning I will have forever, but this current anxiety is temporary. Try to look and see what you can learn from it, and also from yourself. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to put it. And actually, the truth is the anxiety is going to beat you into submission. It's not, you're not going to beat it into submission. It's a beautiful lesson in humility and learning to honor how you feel, learning to stop what you're doing to honor how you feel. Because that's what a panic attack is. Can you drive a forklift while you're having a panic attack? Not really, no. And so it's kind of your body's way of being like, you're going to have to stop and deal with what's causing this. Otherwise, this is just going to get worse. And a lot of that has to do with a balanced surrender. Cindy says, my mind always goes negative, hard to get positive, always trying to twist my thoughts around. Yeah, so I think of like intrusive thoughts kind of like I'm a matador. And so an intrusive thought comes like a bull, and I just kind of say, Olay, and I don't have to do a quick Olay and, slap it on the butt and make it go faster. Maybe it's a gradual Olay. Wow. My thoughts there. And, you start to have intrusive thoughts that are tethered to heavy emotions. I know I keep saying that, but those emotions are what makes it so uncomfortable. But it's really that feedback loop that feeds on itself. It's the wanting them to go away, wanting them to stop. I need to sleep. I need to do this. That's resistance. That is that trying to shove it out, trying to force it not to happen. And so you have to commit and kind of surrender to the process, which may be, shoot, I have to, I got to deal with this. I need help. I need support. I need to, make this top priority. I need to find someone that I trust, which is the cure to anxiety. That didn't really have a great ring to it, but I'm trying. I'm improvising here. I'm improvising, people. What is this, a crowd or an oil painting? Come on. Just kidding. Cindy says, I need CBT lessons. Cindy, CBT is just not rocket science. If you want a really great book, it's like 500 pages, but there's a really great book called Feeling Great by Dr. David Burns. And then furthermore, you could just go on YouTube and just find a reputable channel that talks about CBT. We'll have some CBT videos coming out soon. Basic CBT is you have a thought. That thought could be, so say you wake up in the middle of the night and it's like, I need to sleep, otherwise I'll have an anxious day tomorrow. Write down that thought, I need to have an anxious day tomorrow. Go on Google, search for Dr. David Burns' list of 10 cognitive distortions. You may find some other lists, but we would like to stick to the 10 cognitive distortions because it covers everything in the least amount number. You might find 15 or 20. You want to identify how that thought is distorted based on those list of cognitive distortions. A cognitive distortion is a thought that is simply not true. And so you'll find, hey, I'm future predicting, which, by the way, none of us can do. Hey, I'm all or nothing thinking. If I have this, then this. Like I either have it or I don't. It's distorted. It's not accurate. And then you go and you write down a replacement thought, which is much more true, much more grounded in reality and objectivity, which is something like, I notice that I have some irrational anxiety about falling asleep. But the truth is that, first of all, there is no I have anxiety or I don't have anxiety. Anxiety is on a completely diverse spectrum. And second of all, it's that while I may have had, rough nights of sleep and then anxiety in the same day, there is lots I can do to, lots of techniques and tools I can use to calm my anxiety. And also trying to force myself to go back to sleep is ineffective. So what I really want to do is pivot into doing the best I can with what I have and trying to alleviate the pressure of falling asleep. Cindy says, I like that music. I too have woke up with anxiety. It sucks. Yeah, it can suck. Definitely. And again, guys, I think we want to be more intentional. Anxiety is not the enemy here. And we're not trying to get rid of anxiety because you know why. Because then we need a little bit of anxiety to survive. It's a survival mechanism. We want to turn down the dial. We want to get it to a more balanced place. So make sure we're not personifying or identifying anxiety as evil, because then it becomes just a really black or white thing, and that is a cognitive distortion. The morning song will put me back to sleep. Well, maybe that's what you should do. Listen to at night, Dawn, or maybe, set yourself up for success. Part of anxiety is just, calming your nervous system when you feel it. And so maybe some calming music like that in the first thing in the morning is a great way to start the day. Carmen, lots of smiles. It's good to see a smile. Looks like Stephanie and Elizabeth are having a conversation. Ashley says, I know balance is key. Exercise, eating, sleeping, limiting stress. Man, it's hard. I want to somehow be a better role model for my kids. I wouldn't wish these feelings of anxiety on anyone. Trying to simply work on it all every day and remind myself it's okay to just freaking chill out. Yeah, this is, I have a client who she pushes herself so hard. And, part of why she pushes herself so hard is because she's anxious. She thinks the harder I push, the better I'll feel. Sometimes you have to kind of break a thought pattern with a little bit of will. But if you use too much willpower, then like it's motivated by anxiety, and so it's reinforcing an anxiety. So think of when you're having a panic attack, or like this period of time, like if you had some kind of this is a physical illness. If you had some kind of virus and your immune system was compromised, you didn't have a lot of energy, you wouldn't necessarily push yourself to exercise and do this and do that and have a super strict diet and all these things. You try to set yourself up as best as you can for success, but it's also that part of that is soothing yourself, allowing yourself to rest, allowing yourself to take breaks, watching things that help calm you down, that maybe are, maybe not the healthiest coping mechanisms, and we want to find balance with that. Obviously, we're not advocating, heavy drug use or anything that's really destructive, but it's like, if you need to have some ice cream, if you want to do a little extra shopping, as long as it's within reason and you're not, you want minimizing the collateral damage, just to soothe yourself, to give yourself a little bit of space. That's okay. It's really okay. Anything else is kind of all or nothing thinking, and that is a cognitive distortion. Somebody quote me on that. And that is a cognitive distortion. But yeah, we want to find balance. So I was talking to this client and saying, look, I know you want to be gung-ho about doing everything you can, but sometimes, when you feel, just like trying to fall asleep, when you feel pressure to, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to meditate for 15 minutes, I have to follow it perfectly, I have to do this and it's like, nah. Get on a good regimen, but with balance. Find your resilience through your consistency of trying and stepping forward. But the key to all of this is being present and honoring how you feel, releasing the resistance to how you feel, right? So now's not the time to run a marathon when you're having a heart attack. And now's not the time to try to be your optimal, perfect physical self when you're having an anxiety attack or a period of high anxiety. So I agree. It is okay. It is totally okay, Ashley, to, chill out, to just take it easy. It's the same anxiety that's causing, the same anxiety that you're uncomfortable with may be pushing you to feel better and wanting to get rid of it. And that's just kind of a disguised form of resistance. So find your balance. Find the middle ground. Find the gray area. Because the gray area is not a cognitive distortion. Oh, man. I think I'm funny. Mike, let me readjust. Oh, getting old and everything. All right. What else we got? You guys, I really want to say thank you to all you who are sharing. It's so beautiful. Dulcita on YouTube. Guys, we are live on YouTube. If you guys haven't checked out our YouTube channel, oh my goodness. Dulcita says, thank you for advice you give us every Tuesdays. They help a lot. I wish you the best in 2021. Dulcita, right back at you. I can't believe we haven't met. I feel like we need to have some dinner soon. I got a lot I want to talk to you about, Ennis. Just kidding. He's a good kid. Ashley says, I'm a single parent and have been in 2 domestic violence relationships. I don't give myself a break ever. 12 years. I've just been strong, and I think it's all just finally hit me. I live for my kids and work and kind of lost myself in it all. Ashley, it's a really common story. And yeah, I think it's beautiful you're recognizing that, because everything starts with awareness. Everything. So good for you, Ashley. And look, get some support. Start to learn and kind of work present day backwards, which is meaning like, what do you need today to feel better? And naturally, the treatment or your path will go where it needs to go, and just really honor that. I have a wonderful client who just was getting these intrusive thoughts and images. He was fighting them and so scared, and she was kind of physically compromised. And she just recently acknowledges the change in her of how scared she was about her own her own thoughts and, these parts of her that would put certain areas of her life that she thought she'd kind of processed out back into her for a reason. And once she stopped the fighting the waves and started going with them and riding them, she saw that they would lead her to these really wonderful places that her mind and body were dying for her to go to. And and once she released that resistance, her path took shape in the form it needed to take shape, not the way she thought she had to force it to take shape. So, Ashley, just Godspeed on your journey, and let us know if there's anything we could do to help you in any way. Stephanie says, I just want to share that I love working with you guys. Aw, it's so much easier for someone with mass trust issues to trust people who literally know exactly what you're talking about. You have both been through this yourself, and you've learned to manage it and be okay in life. We're great. We're great, and you guys are going to be great too. That makes me really trust you guys versus a therapist who just wants your money and offers little to no help. It's, it's all case sensitive, Stephanie. First of all, thank you for the love and lots of love back. We started this company to balance, like, hey, we have to make a living with what can we do that's going to fulfill us. And there's nothing more wonderful than engaging with people and having them open up willingly and being on, a witness and a participant in their journey to help them. And all in the meantime, reinforcing all the good health things that, I need and that Ennis needs to maintain our balance too. So we're so lucky, and it's just such a privilege to be able to, it's such a privilege to be able to, for you guys to share and to be here on the other side and to, provide the knowledge and advice that, hopefully helps in some way. It's an absolute privilege. So I'm so grateful for you guys. Don says, I've learned from myself I can't think about the way I feel too much when I have anxiety. I just push myself to do what I have to do, and things work out fine. Yeah, Don, talk about that a little more. I can't think about the way I feel too much when I have anxiety. Yeah, it's tricky because it's like you can't think about it too much because it might intensify the feedback loop. So like if you start really focusing on, God, I feel terrible and this isn't going away, and there's a balance there. Wendy says, I think you're funny too. Yeah. Cindy says, I'm told I need to learn to love myself. Yeah, I would turn that. I would focus on, so like kind of self-deprecation, self-judgment, self-criticism. There's two parts there. There's a critical part and there's the absorber. There's the exile. There's the part that, the sensitive part, the vulnerable part, the unprotected part, so it's a kind of a 1-2 dynamic. So it starts with trying to understand the critic. So you kind of go where you can go, whatever you're more in touch with. How do you protect this part? How do you not vilify the critic part? It's very tricky. So cultivating self-love can be starting with just like you guys were talking about before, noticing positive things about yourself. Hey, I do this well. I did this well. I did a good job. Celebrating the victories. I brushed my teeth really well tonight. Hey, I got a good night's sleep. Hey, that was a hell of a dinner. Hey, I really cleaned that closet. Yeah. That can be the start to shift the tide, to get some groundedness back, right? So you're kind of offsetting the critic. Ultimately, though, it's going to be about getting in touch with this critic and getting in touch with this younger, more vulnerable part, connecting, attaching, protecting this part, unburdening this critic part. Because I promise you guys, if you have a heavy inner critic, it's trying to do something for you, something positive. Its intention is good. Its method sucks. But you have to focus on the intention, number one, because you're stuck with this part of you. You don't just get rid of parts. You have to work with it. And two, it's you can't vilify someone or something who hasn't learned how to do things a different way. So you have to redirect it. Patricia Cipollini, hey, that's my mom. Balance is always at least a good... Ooh, I dropped my ring. A good part of what needs to be part of the equation. Balance is always at least a good part of what needs to be a part of the equation. Yeah. How the heck do we learn to love ourselves? I know, Lisa, there's a few different techniques that we just talked about. So you gotta give it a shot. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. Stephanie says, I have a belief that I'll never be happy or I don't deserve to love. I don't deserve love. I'll never be happy or I don't deserve love. It's a part of you. It's a fear. It's an anxiety. Everyone deserves to be happy. And lots of hearts. Awesome. A lot about self-love. Wow. So, make it a goal of yours this week. Maybe. If you're on the board of... if you're on board with the self-love, if you're on board with the cultivating self-love, make it a goal to start somewhere. And I would say one of two places. Number one, practice, let's say 3 places. Number one, practice just pointing out things you're doing well. You know what I'm saying? Practice the things you're doing well. Practice pointing out the things you're doing well. Whether it's, hey, I'm a single mom killing it, balancing a lot, pushed and stretched beyond the means of what I thought I could possibly do. Say it. And maybe you look in the mirror and say it. Number 2, get really curious and open-minded about that critic of yours. Get really curious and open-minded about that inner child or that part of you that's absorbing the criticism. Get in touch with them. You can do this through meditation. If you need more help with that, message us here. We'll be happy to walk you through the process. Number 3, treat yourself. Just start to talk to yourself with much more compassion. If you treat other people better than you treat yourself, ask yourself why. Why do I do that? Why do I treat this person with all the love and compassion and patience? Why do I treat them like they're somebody who deserves to be listened to, understood, but I don't give myself the same time? So you've got 3 really great ways just to start. And some of you may do it and be like, feel this wave of change. And some of you may do it and it maybe cultivates 2% of curiosity, something small. You can't hop up a mountain. You got to take the first step. Let me read some more of these comments and then I'm going to have to wrap it up to go to my workout class. It's not a workout class. It's martial arts. Cindy says, I've always been the caretaker, having a purpose, getting my happiness from others, and now that's gone, and I'm told that I need to love myself to learn it. Cindy, you just start. So I also think, Cindy, I mean, I know you had something horrific happen where you lost a child. More than just losing the child, Cindy, you lost that huge piece of your identity as the caretaker, as the person, you know, that's a clear path and a clear role, right? I need to help this person. I need to focus on them, and that's my track. And now that that's gone, you're left with unbelievable possibilities. No, like such unlimited parameters of what do I do next? Plus you're grieving and in pain. So get some support and know that, you know, we support you here, Cindy. Sammy says, I don't deserve to be happy is what it was supposed to say. Yeah, well, you know, one out of those 3 steps I want you to try this week, Stephanie, if you feel up for it. Amanda says, I thought I killed it today at work, only to get a text message from the boss that I messed up dinner. Hopefully this won't throw me in overthinking all night and lose sleep. Yeah, understand why you're overthinking, Amanda. You know, what did that trigger in you? You know, what part of you is that triggering? What's the belief there? What's the fear or anxiety? You know, if you made a mistake, does it mean you're going to be let go? And even you can look up those lists of cognitive distortions and be like, well, I'm overgeneralizing, all or nothing thinking, doing this, doing that, and just replace the thought. Just because I made a mistake on dinner, first of all, doesn't mean I screwed up the whole dinner. Second of all, it certainly doesn't mean they're going to fire me for it. And third of all, it certainly doesn't mean I'm going to, lose all my money and lose my job and be homeless and all this. No, that's a lot of heavy conditional jumping to conclusions. Yeah, not being good enough. Well, Amanda, here at Inner Solutions, we're here to say, not only are you good enough, you're damn good enough. And that's where we'll end it, guys. Thank you so much. These are getting to be more fun. I hope me solo is not too much Italian spunky bald guy for you. But there's more to come. So on that note, thank you guys so much. Again, if you're new to the channel, haven't scheduled a free coaching call, the link is in the description here. If you guys need anything, a copy of our Panic Response Plan book, which is completely free, message us here on Facebook. That's where we're at. And furthermore, our group coaching is now open. Right now it's a beautiful weekly class that we teach the universal techniques and the tools that we talk about here, but more specifically and more in depth. We also have time for personalized questions and answers in the group coaching. If that's something you're interested in, message us here on Facebook. Follow, subscribe the YouTube channel. Tons of great content. Let us know what videos you want us to make. We will make them quicker than you can say, I'm feeling good. And furthermore, guys, just know that no matter where you are, no matter how stuck you feel, no matter how long or how intense it's been going for, you're never, ever stuck. You might just need some support. Thank you guys so much. Lots of love. See you next week. Peace.